Coming up.
I saw firsthand when power is abused, what it does.
Right.
What it does to people, what it does to societies. And I was like, no. Just something against in me was just like, absolutely not. When you see something and you want to change something, are you stepping into that? And what are you doing to shift it? What are you doing to shape it? What are you doing to change things? A whole lawyer. You're going to India to be an intern. Like, have you lost it? The first thing is learning is continuous. Learning is continuous. Maintaining curiosity. I'm telling you, that is an edge that young people have that we lose as we get older to our detriment.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 2, episode 2, loving the conversation that has been happening both on the episodes and online. Guys, your reception to episode 1 was amazing, and we love interacting with you. Continue to follow us at Women by Excellence on all platforms. This is Women by Excellence, where we celebrate women in all their beauty, in all their forms, in all their walks of life, as we amplify the voices of women who lead both in the office, in the field, or at home. And for this episode, we're streaming on all DSPs, so be sure to follow, like, subscribe, and of course, listen in, changia to the conversation. We love hearing from you guys. So you can follow, again, Women by Excellence on Spotify, YouTube, all your favorite DSPs. We are on there. I'm Myra Maloba Maina, and I'm the host for Women by Excellence. And I'm excited to lead this conversation once again. And we have a special guest in studio. For today, our theme still revolves around finances and money, but this time we're looking at money control and choices. So I would like to introduce my guest. I'm going to start off with reading her profile as we start off, and then we'll get to hear from her. We have with us Michelle Kagari, who is an enterprise leader with over 20 years of experience operating across Africa, working in complex, multi-country environments where growth depends on aligning strategy, operations, and external environment. She currently serves a senior global director at One Acre Fund, where she leads government relations and external strategy across 10 African markets and oversees a team of 90 plus professionals. She serves on multiple boards, including Food for Education, Education for All Children, and One Acre Fund Ventures, and is an advisory member for Safari Doctors. Michelle is a co-author of Self-Sabotage 2025 and How We Rise 2024, and a recognized voice on leadership systems and scaling impact in complex environments. She's also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and holds advanced degrees in law and international development. And you might attend, she also told me she does coaching. Karibu sana, Michelle.
Thank you.
It's great to have you with us in studio.
Thank you.
And getting to know you a little bit better. And getting to know you, I'd like you to introduce yourself, because nobody tells it better than you.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. And I've loved the conversations we've had so far.
Yes.
And I think what I'd go into is not so much the titles, but who I am at my core. And really, at my core, I'm someone who believes very strongly in truth and justice. And I believe that power and how power flows can either enable a society or a family that is grounded on truth and justice, or can destroy that. And communities where there's truth and justice tend to thrive. Where there isn't, doesn't tend to thrive. So I'm someone who's always in that space of like, I want to make things better. I want there to be justice. I want there to be truth. And at my core, that's who I am. And that's what drives what I do. So even like law, all those spaces and everything. And then beyond that, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, in our African families and what that entails, and playing those roles. And I'd say, and I'm mixed race, so also been navigating, straddling different cultures.
Wow.
But yeah, that's at the core who I am.
I love the fact that you said that you're mixed race, because people, they don't know how to boastfully identify themselves and say, this is who I am. Yeah. I love that as a starting point. What led you into the line of work that you are, out of everything else? Why did you choose truth and justice?
Because I think, first of all, I was born and I grew up like at the time when I was becoming a bit aware, was the height of the Moi dictatorship. And then my dad he was not a politician, but he was very political. Okay. And so we had all these books at home about coup d'etat and the freedom struggle and all, which I used to devour. Even like by the time I was 10, 11, 12, I'd just be devouring everything. Right. And so I had from a very early age a very strong sense of like what's right and what's wrong. And my dad encouraged that. And then growing up, I saw firsthand when power is abused, what it does. What it does to people, what it does to societies. And I was like, no. Just something against in me was just like, absolutely not. And so from that time, like that's what's driven all my decisions. Like what I do about them has evolved as I've matured and grown. So early in my career, it was very much driven by that purpose. It was in the context of multi-party democracy, pushing for a new Kenyan constitution. So it was then that's how human rights became so central, because we were pushing for our political rights, our civil and political rights. But then as I matured and grew, I began to realize that, people with power and how people use that power definitely matters. But there's an entire system behind them that enables them, and power moves within systems, and so it's insufficient to just think about the people and how power is used. You've got to think about the system, and so like that's been the core thread, starting from human rights till where I am now, where I deal with social enterprises. It's the same problem that I'm dealing with, but coming at it from different angles.
I love the fact that your dad encouraged you on that, because I used to do the same. I used to devour, and I still do, everything that had to do with our history. But in a lot of our households, they're like, shh, Kenya this, Kenya that. You'll be set up, nini, and it leads a lot to the aspects of even leadership from even a young age, and we'll delve into that in a little bit. But I love for us, and I always ask my guests, because it's it's subjective. What does leadership mean to you? And there's one word we tackled, again, you might attend, and that was competency. If we could just frame those two words in your own words.
Leadership for me is about how you claim that space of power and how you wield that power. And so I think anyone can be a leader in your space, in your home. How are you stepping in? When you see something and you want to change something, are you stepping into that? And what are you doing to shift it? What are you doing to shape it? What are you doing to change things? That's leadership. And how you do that from a position where like you don't have the formal title, or you don't have, because for me, leadership, the title is just tier one. First of all, actually in my entire career, especially when I entered the international space, in many companies, they are not hierarchical. So you can have that big title. I'm sorry, no one gives a damn. If you are not showing up, if you're not credible, if you're not demonstrating, you're not good, no one is going to listen to you. So your title actually doesn't mean anything. And the competencies is now, how do you claim that space? How are you able to articulate that direction of this is what's supposed to happen? How are you able to get people excited to follow you, You know, they say like if you're a leader and you're walking and there's no one with you, you're just taking a walk.
Exactly.
People have to be with you. So being able to do that, it doesn't happen naturally. It's a competence. But the great thing is, it's something, because it's a competence, it is a skill that you can build. And then what matters so much to me is because when you're in that space, you have power.
Right.
And how you use that power can make or break. And for me, it's so important that as a leader, I need to be using my space and my power to create an environment where people can thrive, where people are motivated, where people are happy and can be their best selves. And so, yes, there's the external things I'll be thinking about of like, agriculture, food productivity, food security.
Right.
I do all that.
Right.
However, internally, these 90 people, and then beyond, Wanika Fund, we are like 8,000 staff. So like beyond, what am I doing to create a culture within my environment, within my department, where people can thrive, where people are doing their best work?
Right.
Because in 10 market, I can't be there everywhere.
Yeah.
So how am I empowering people and enabling people so that they are making the best decisions for smallholder farmers, where they're able to deliver their best work? I always say, no one wakes up in the morning and says, aha, my plan for today is I'm going to go to work and fail.
Right.
That is my agenda. I will go and fail. No one does that.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to succeed.
Yes.
And your job as a leader is to motivate, inspire, and then enable them to achieve that success for themselves. And when they succeed, you succeed.
Absolutely.
And so for me, that's what leadership and competence is.
Right.
Yeah.
I love, you know, I've always said it, but it's good for people to hear it, even like my team to hear it from somebody else, because I always say, you know, running for CEO, CFO, this and this, and one, you're not bringing in change, even if it's money, to the company.
Yeah.
You're not motivating.
Yeah.
You're not inspiring your team.
Yeah.
Then you just, all you have is a title that empowers you and nobody else.
Yeah. And you're using your power to oppress others. No.
It makes zero sense. And that's why you go into a company and find there are a lot of high turnovers because they can't just work with you. They can't deal with you. They can't stand you. And now when you said competency, for those who may not truly understand, what does that mean?
It's the skills that you have. And one of the things that I've noticed a lot is that, and I think it's a throwback from those days where it was like, go to school, get a degree. A lot of people tend to over-index on the technical skills.
Right.
So it will be like, I have a degree, I have a master's, I have a PhD. Yeah, those are technical skills. Competencies are your technical skills and other competencies. And the competencies that are beyond your technical skills are, like, for example, what I said to you, that, like, I'm going to mulika you now.
Right.
So in my tent, we were talking about, like, what your role is and that we just have a conversation.
Right.
And I was like, well, that is a competency because in order for me to open up and say things which I never thought I would say and to be vulnerable, you need to show up in a certain way and draw that out of me until I'm shocked. I'm like, guy, you mean I said all those things? I can't believe. That is a competency. And you need to name it. And you need to put it in the value chain of great podcast production because it is a link in the value chain. You know, another competency that people have, like you've just said, you'll have the title, but people cannot work with you. Your ability to bring people together, to create space where we can feel we own this solution, we are excited about it. That is a competency. It is a skill. It needs to be named. And for you to succeed, you cannot succeed as a leader unless you've got all those little bits. Being able to set direction, say this is where we are going. No, you can't just wake up in the morning and be like, it requires you to really understand what's needed, understand the system you're operating in, understand what the environment is capable of doing, and then set that direction in a way that people are like, oh, okay, broadly, this is where we're going. But for me, this is my contribution.
Right.
This is how my contribution matters. This is how we will succeed. This is how I'll know we've succeeded. That is a competency.
Right.
But there's no masters in this is how I have a master's in now this is how I align people.
Right. Right.
So you've got to capture all of that. And for me, when I look at people and when I'm building people and growing people, I look at the whole and help them identify what they will know they have. But also one of my competencies is being able to pull out the things that they don't see or that they undervalue, but actually is one of their key strengths.
Right.
Yeah.
How was it for you starting off in the industry? Especially as a woman, I think right now at least we have a little bit more freedoms than it was back in the day. Maybe a little less misogyny, a little less mansplaining and manspeak. But how was it for you starting off and being assertive enough to be heard in the organizations that you were in?
Yeah, I think in some respects I've been very lucky that I found myself like being mentored and encouraged by men who did not find that to be a threat. So like starting with my dad. And my dad, proper conservative Kikuyu man. But I don't know, it's like there's that disconnect because like as his daughter, he would be so entertained when I am challenging him and everything, and he'd encourage it. But this is the same man who'd be like, how can a woman talk like that? And he's not seeing that you're raising a woman, a future woman who will talk like that, you know? And even when I went to university, so when I went to Parklands, I was very lucky that there are three men who took me under their wing. Wow. And I never looked for it. So it was Professor Kivutha Kibwana.
Oh, wow.
He's now a justice in the Supreme Court, Smoking Wanjala, and Okech Owiti. Wow. And they are the ones who, because I was so fiery and I'd be like talking, and they would encourage that. And they'd be like putting me in spaces where I could do that. And not one of them ever tried anything, which I don't really get. And it was the same for when I went into practice, like being encouraged. Like I did my pupillage at Givu Mohammed and Wigai. So Givu was my pupil master, if you will. Wow. It doesn't mean that I escaped all of that. So I had incidences where, yes, you're a young girl, you're beautiful, so people are trying things. And I think because of my core of justice and being an activist, that took me to spaces where the gendered norms were different. So like the human rights space, that space in the 90s, with Akina Kivutha Kibwana, Reverend Njoya, like the leaders who were there, we had very powerful women as well as very powerful men. Yes. And so my experience, because of the space I was in, ended up being a bit different. And then in the same way, going into the international space, what I did experience and what I still navigate is more the biases and the differentiated responses when you do something as a woman and in the international space as a woman of color versus as when you do something as a man. And so when you're shaking the boat or rocking the boat, like there'll be the biases of an African or a person of color. You can't really be. So the assumption always is that you don't know. Yes. So everyone is coming to you from that lens of actually you don't know. So so there's a lot of mansplaining and explaining, which can be very frustrating. And learning how to navigate that and learning how to craft spaces for yourself. So the skill that I have developed in my 20 plus years in the international development space is really, I've developed a very fine radar for reading the wind, knowing how the wind is blowing, reading the system, knowing how this system is operating, what are the dynamics, how is power moving within this system. And then you know how you're going to navigate. And it's critical. It's a critical skill set, not just for women, but I find that men develop it much faster, and they have a really good radar for it more than women. And so when I'm grooming and mentoring women, like building your political radar and learning how to read the space that you're in and navigating that space so that you can avoid the pitfalls and then be able to build. Because at the end of the day, irrespective of the space that you're in, when you're delivering results, when you are delivering value that people care about, there's
nothing for them to talk about.
There's nothing for them to talk about.
Exactly.
There's nothing for them to talk about.
Yeah.
But it is insufficient. You have to deliver the value that the system you're in cares about. So if you're in corporate space and what people care about is the bottom line and you own the P&L, you better be delivering those profits. But make sure that everyone knows that it is you who deliver those. Because, by the way, when you succeed, everyone will be there claiming your success. Oh, I did. And you know, women, we are socialized of be humble, just do the work. What? I'm telling you, when we do the things that society conditioned us, society has conditioned us, at least when I was growing up. Society has conditioned us to become very good doormats.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you do those things over to your marriage material, you're a good African girl. Yes. In the workspace, in the professional environment, you will be the very nice doormat that is delivering all the results. But then people claim and you're invisible and you'll be overlooked and your value will not be seen. So you have to know what else. Deliver the results. Make sure that you're visible. Make sure that your ownership is well known. Make sure that you have allies, men and women, and you're building those from day one. Make sure that you have people speaking for you in those rooms that you're not there. Make sure that you don't have only mentors, but you also have a sponsor, someone who'll stick their neck out and say, give her a chance. And you have to do that practice because no one's going to hand it over to you. And then do not wait for permission. Because people are like, the minute no one is going to tell you, oh, come and lead. You have to claim that space.
This is the hierarchy in the world. It's usually, okay, you're in a space. There's, of course, the international space where you're really being looked at because of your color. Then there's the men. And then now come the women who are like, not even the second class, but third class citizens of the world. So what would you say was your defining moment when you realize, okay, I'm valuable in this space? It's a time for them to see that this is the value I bring.
Yeah. I'd say it's a mindset. It's a mindset shift. Because I grew up in Kenya and I studied law here, my first degree. I got called to the bar here. And then as I evolved, and then I realized, so obviously, like I'm looking at even then I hadn't articulated it the way I'm articulating it now, but you know, instinctively, I'd be looking at all these expatriates, foreigners running around in their big cars coming to tell us how to do development, and I'd be like, I'm not buying. This is some BS. Like I was not feeling it, and then I was like, no. Even then it was, I didn't, like what was driving me was that thing of truth and justice. And being like realizing actually we are so focused on Moi and everything, but there are some people here pulling those strings. And I need to be where these strings are being pulled because this is not working for us. It's not working. And that's how I found myself now going to the international space. And actually people thought I was crazy because it's like, I'm a lawyer here. I had a job. I was making good. Well, actually at the time I was unemployed because we had lost funding in my NGO. But it was like, you're very employable. Why would you go? Because the opportunity I got was as an intern in India. Please know this is in 2000. So they were like, a whole lawyer. You're going to India to be an intern. Like, have you lost it? And I was like, no, I need to get a foothold. And this is the opportunity and we'll see. And that actually worked out so well. Because when I went there, I realized that I was actually not equipped for that space. They have a different way of thinking. They have a different way of seeing the world. They have in a different India. No, in the international. It was an international. It was an international organization. but the HQ was in India.
In India, okay,
yes,
got
in
you.
Delhi.
Okay.
And so very quickly, and it was really, really difficult because I had that thing of mjuaji, of like, please, wakili, but I know. You know, so I had a bit of arrogance, I had a bit of hubris.
Right.
And going there and realizing, actually, you don't know. And actually, you're not even equipped.
Yeah.
And so I had to reinvent myself.
Right.
I had to learn. And it was a very, very difficult pivot. But I'm so grateful because the fact that I was an intern actually created the breathing room.
Right.
Because no one is expecting much from you. You're an intern.
Right.
So it gave me the breathing room to reinvent myself and learn, oh, this is how this thing, and then adapt.
Right.
And I'm still I still have my own agenda, but it's like, oh, so this is how I'm going to succeed here.
Right.
And honestly, that core skill set has served me so well up until today, because through my career, I have been in different sectors, different markets, and that adaptability, because the core I have learned does not change. How a system operates, how power is flowing, how, like, when you know the right questions to ask and you know how to assess how is this system working, then the blueprint of how you navigate and bring about change and influence and shift. It's, that formula is the same, I have found.
Yeah, because, you know, we're actually talking about other than your life story, which is, again, I told you, like, it's so colorful with the life you've lived, and you don't understand how much, like, I'm seeing such an amazing, I'm getting such an amazing lens into your life and how you've navigated through different, because we still are learning as we grow and we're still trying to navigate. And these conversations are usually helpful in that way, because a lot of people are still trying to, even especially in this economy, trying to understand how to make that shift, especially if they're in employment and they want to go into self-employment and take kind of the risk that you took. So how did you manage to balance the aspect of, you know, money and still be in the right career space that you wanted to be?
Yeah. One thing, money has never been a core driver for me.
Okay.
But I recognize it's a critical enabler. And I also recognize that money is freedom.
Right.
And freedom in the sense that, and then that's why it's a critical enabler. Freedom in the sense that even your ability to action your dreams will be enabled by money.
Right.
Your ability to make choices it's enabled by money. When you have no money, your options become very limited.
Right.
When you have no money, your ability to push and take risks becomes very limited because you're on the edge.
Right.
And so that's the framing that I have on money. And when I look at my career and my journey, a lot of it, and I see this with a lot of people, is when you're grounded in your why, your purpose, and you're following your purpose, and you're open to what will come that's aligned, even if you don't know what that end goal is.
Right.
And you're aligned with that, and you're living that opportunities open. That's been my experience, and not just me. I've seen it over and over.
Right.
Of like when you're open and you're looking and you're not trying to tell God, whether it's God or whatever your religion is, but you're not trying to tell the universe.
Right.
Because you'll be like, oh, this is my dream. And then I think the mistake so many of us make is that this is my dream and I want to achieve that dream like this.
Exactly.
And then you're giving God, like you're giving God that this is the plan. This is how you will give me my dream.
Is my timeline.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. No. That's not how life works.
Yeah.
So if you have that purpose, and then you allow yourself the journey, recognizing that some parts of that journey will include some serious character development and panel beating, because we need that sometimes to prepare us for the next level. Right. And it is uncomfortable and it will suck. And then that things do come and fall into place.
Right.
And our journeys are different. So that's what I'd say.
Right.
And the final thing I'd say is that I'm saying all of this with the caveat that I'm very much aware that even being able to talk the way I'm talking, that's privilege. Right. So I am not oblivious to that.
Okay.
And I am very much aware that for someone who has no money and no options,
right,
this is just like, what the hell are you talking about? When you are in survival mode, living from day to day,
right,
and thinking about your next meal, all these things I've said, that is just, it is not, no, that is a different worldview.
Right.
And that is why, again, my purpose and what I do and looking at power and how power is used matters so much to me, and why truth and justice is so important to me, because as a leader, a key part of your role is to enable something where a human being can even begin to think beyond, where am I getting my next meal? And if we are in a society where some people have obscene levels of wealth,
right,
and then others you cannot even think about where your next meal is coming from. There's a system behind that. Like, that is just, for me, that is just unacceptable. So I do whatever I can and use whatever power I have and whatever spaces I have to be like, yeah, we need to get to a point where someone can even be able to talk and have that privilege that I have to say, this is what money means.
Right.
So I get that.
Right. Because it's difficult. There are times I've thought to myself, I'm like, I'm running a business. I'm tired constantly. I'm wondering, should I just get into wash so I get money easier? Like, those thoughts invade your mind. And you wonder, why am I doing that? Process of, why am I here?
Yeah.
What's the purpose?
Yeah.
Has imposter syndrome ever set in for you, especially when you're dealing with so many people?
All the time.
It's a continuous process.
And here's the thing: I always like to, one of the intentions I always try and set for myself is that, and by the way, I wasn't always like, these are now the things that come with age and maturity. Is one of the intentions I always try and set for myself is that every time I engage in a space or I engage with people, I want them to have a positive experience of me. And so I'm struggling to know how to frame this truth, because I don't want it to be a dampener.
Right.
But what I'm finding is, with things like imposter syndrome and all of those, and the other barriers that hold us back internally as human beings, where we sabotage ourselves, our behaviors, you will think that you have, like I thought, actually last year, if you had asked me whether I had imposter syndrome, I would have told you very confidently.
Right.
And now I'm realizing arrogantly that no, I've overcome that. I'm very confident in my space. I own it. But in the last few months, I have been in a space where I'm growing. And because I'm in a growth phase, it's very, very uncomfortable, because your growth is messy. So there are areas where I'm struggling, whatever, and I'm finding that self-doubt of like, oh my God, do I belong here? I know the space I'm in is demanding me to show up in a certain way. And so I'm trying, and it feels so uncomfortable, and I'm like, I'm such a fraud. So, so you will overcome. So as you grow, you'll overcome the imposter syndrome for that level, and you'll be very good and flying and really in your power and feeling yourself. And girl, when you're there, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Milk it. But at the next level of growth, what I'm finding is that those things, they come up again. So it's like with every tier, you'll have to overcome it over and over again.
Even in parenting,
yeah.
it's there. I found myself being asked a question by an interview I did. I was doing a media tour and I was asked, how are you as a parent? And then immediately as I think about my friends and my family and how they handle their kids, and I was just like, I'm not there as a parent. I feel like I work so hard and I'm not giving enough time to. Have you ever felt like that even sometimes when it comes to balancing work and family, being a wife?
Yeah.
Being a mother.
Yeah, it is hard. We carry a lot. Let me tell you. So, I think it's now 3 weeks. At the end of March, beginning of April.
Right.
I felt, so at my age, I'm perimenopausal. And part of what I've been struggling with is I had been feeling so discombobulated. I just feel I'm not myself.
Right.
And I'm scattered and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I needed to go on a silent retreat for 10 days. It's called Vipassana. And I've done it before. I did it before and I lived in India because I did all those things. It was fantastic, amazing, loved it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I am going.
Right.
And so I did it. And when I did it, the things that came out through that meditative practice, and I was wailing and wailing, by the way, was that thing of like, oh my gosh, we carry, or I'm carrying so much. I'm carrying the family, I've got the career, I've got the parenting, I have the finances, I have this, and I'm now worried what's going to happen, how is things going to, and it was just this huge weight.
Right.
And it was that thing of like, I'm exhausted. And I'm so exhausted, it's so overwhelming, I don't even feel like I'm doing anything. Right. And then add perimenopause where my fuse is like -1. So I'm exhausted. I don't feel like I'm doing anything well. And I am angry.
Right.
I'm angry and I'm frustrated. And it was so overwhelming. But here is what's so amazing about women and the human experience. I believe that our hearts, actually, I think it is just so amazing that we are able to absorb all of this.
All of it. Take it here, everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we absorb all of it. By the way, I'm not romanticizing it. And I'm not saying it is okay. It is not okay that we carry so much.
Thank you. Yes.
And if we are carrying so much, excuse me, can we please value it? Because these things we are carrying, they are not visible. So can we first of all make them visible and place a value on them and be like in the value chain of the family harmony, in the value chain of a society's well-being. Here is our contribution, and see, like our contribution is outsized compared to the value that we get. But the point is, yes, we feel that. I feel that. And what I'm working on coming out of that Vipassana experience is letting go. Because there's so much of what I'm carrying that actually I don't have control over.
Even like you said, you are wailing. You're letting go of that grief as well.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because grief is not only when somebody is passing, it's going through also the processes.
Yes.
Going through the failures, even the joys. It all compounds at once.
Yes.
I can only imagine what your experience was in India with that.
Even here, because this Vipassana was here in Kenya.
Oh, it was here in Kenya?
Yes. Yes. It's just there near Mast in Ongata Rongai.
Please give me that information.
I'll give you my tent. I will tell you that the first 4 days of Vipassana, I was like, what is this hell I have consigned me? It is not for the faint-hearted. However, coming out of it, and I'm feeling a shift within me. It's not that the burdens that I'm carrying as a woman have changed, but how I am relating to those burdens, I'm definitely feeling a shift. And I'm finding it easier to distinguish, like, this is what I have control over. And what I have control over, this is how I'm going to show up. This I don't have control over. And so I'm not going to burden myself. Like the ability to do that, I'm finding has improved. And so And why, like today, I'm feeling lighter. It's just been 2 weeks. So I don't know how long the effects will last. Let's circle back in a while. But the reason why today I'm feeling lighter is that I'm realizing that the stuff that I can't control and therefore I can do something about and be like, okay, as a mother, this is how I can show up, compared to the stuff I actually in reality don't have control over and therefore let go of.
Yeah.
The stuff I don't have control is actually 95%. So I feel like 95% of weight is off.
Right.
And the 5% that's left, because it's just 5%, I can show up in a different way.
Right.
So like, for example, my daughter is a teenager. She's great, but of course there's some ATT happening.
Right.
And like, I have found that I'm just relating to her differently because like, okay, she's a teenager, she's going through her things. I cannot enter her head and make her have an attitude about something.
Right.
Like that's what I can do is be like, okay, she has to go through this teenage experience. She has to go through her angst. She has to go through her drama with her girlfriends and the cliques and the whatever. And what does she need from me really? And what's within my control?
Right.
She wants to be heard.
Yeah.
And she wants to feel that she can have someone, a safe space.
Right.
And actually, I can do that.
Right.
That I can do. It actually then, and I love it. It then cost me much to just be a safe space for her to vent without judging her.
Right.
And telling her. And I was like, actually, that I can do.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, mothering the teenager over the last 2 weeks has just been different. Like I'm feeling so drama free.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that you're here in a new space. So when you're talking from a place where I'm like, okay, you're in your Zen moment.
I mean, I don't know how long it will last, but yes, as of now, yeah.
I love it. Let's take a break with that, guys. Let's pay a few bills, sip a little bit of water. We'll be back with this and have more great conversations. Keep it here. Are you looking for a comfortable stay in Westlands? Well, Bahari Palace Apartments is truly the place for you. These service apartments are perfect for business or leisure for awesome restaurant and bar experiences, free Wi-Fi, housekeeping. Your standby generator is always on check, also CCTV and 24-hour security. Everything you need is all in one place. All you need to do is call 0717-551-305 or email baharipalaceapartments.com or accounts@baharipalaceapartments.com. You want the perfect place to stay? Book today. All right, guys, we are having a fantastic and in fact, I would say immersive conversation because I think even for those who are watching, they can see it playing out in their lives in one way or another. It's so relatable. And I applaud you for your vulnerability in telling us your story. I thank you so much for that. I always find it a privilege when somebody sits on a set with me and they're not holding back. So thank you. So we left it at, you went to a place of self-discovery. And what I got from that is that you, again, identified and you recognized and you lived in that, whether it was pain, anxiety, you lived in it. And with that, you were able to at least free yourself. And right now we're talking about grace. When does a woman give herself grace or should be able to give herself grace?
Yeah. I'd say all the time, every time, daily. Because the burdens that we bear, they're not, it's not like you put your burden down in the morning and then you pick it up tomorrow. Right. It's a constant burden.
Yeah.
And I think what shifts over time is that the intensity of the burden will flow and ebb.
Right.
And so that grace has to be there always because this is the human experience. The human experience is messy.
Right.
It is flawed. It is okay. Like, it's not supposed to be perfect. And so knowing within ourselves that this is the human experience, this is our situation,
right.
It is hard. And the default is I will struggle. Like that's let that be the expectation. I will struggle,
whichever level,
and that is okay. Yes, I am enough. Actually, I've been practicing saying this to my daughter, and actually even note to self, I need to say it even more. I've said practicing saying to my daughter, you are enough. I am so proud of you. You are enough. Yeah. And so grace has to be constant. Yeah.
There's one word you mentioned, Nyuma, famous tense, boundaries.
Yeah.
You immerse yourself in work where you're not only dealing with international spaces, you're dealing with Gava. You're dealing with the farmers. How did you manage to say, okay, this is where I can go, but if I can't reach here, it's okay, and communicate that as well?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's actually, again, another critical competence in these spaces, because the issues that we deal with, and I don't even think it's not applicable only to the space I'm in. It's applicable for everyone. We have the things that we want to achieve. And when you're dealing with systems and changing systems and shifting systems, they are very complex. They have long runways. And even if we brought it down to a business owner, you have your dream for the business, and it's going to be a journey, and it's going to have meanderings and complexities. So a key part of boundaries is breaking down the steps. So you know where you want to go, but what are the baby steps that you take along the way? And then focus on that baby step. That's boundary number one. And I think when you start trying to do everything and run before you can walk, you're not gonna, first of all, you'll fail, and you're going to burn out while you're failing. So it's a lose. Then the second key thing that you need to think about in terms of boundaries is the sequencing. So, like, for example, for a business owner, the dream would be to have maybe multiple shops or have a franchise or something. You start with that one shop. And then you learn from the one shop, start with the second shop. Like, you can't go from no shops to 50 shops overnight. It doesn't, show me where it has worked. And so even in systems change, in shifting systems, you have to identify the systems. You have to identify the sequence and know and understand what needs to be in place to unlock and enable the next level. And that's another level of boundary. The third level of boundary is capability. And capability here is, how much money do you have? Because there's never enough money in the world. How much money do you have? What is required in order to do this? And it can be something from as simple as, I need this financial operating system in order to do X, but I don't have the money for it, or I need this machine in order to scale. So understanding what the capabilities are, and then right sizing your baby steps to your actual capabilities. Those are other boundaries. So being very clear in your head on what those boundaries are, why those boundaries exist. And then when you engage with other people, you're able to articulate and communicate. So it's like, for right now, so in talks with Gava, like, one of the things that I always say is, One Acre Fund, our core business and our core business entity, I mean, our core business competence is last mile delivery. So you're looking for someone to deliver inputs to the last mile, underserved communities, deliver them on time, guaranteed quality. We are your person, because there's no one else in the market that can do it the way we do it. When you start asking us to go into, like, let's say, production of X and Y, that for now, we are growing into that, but for now, so what we can partner with you has to be aligned to where is our capability, that we are actually delivering value so that it's a win-win. What is the capability that we have in terms of what are the resources that are available, and what can we actually move so that you get the result that you want. And then, yes, your goal as the government is to increase production and food security. you will do that. Our contribution to that is we will make sure that the farmers get this.
Right.
That is our contribution, and we will do it well.
Yeah.
So it informs the kinds of conversations you can have. And it becomes easier because you know why you're having that boundary.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you seek, especially in your sector, or how do you manage to improve yourself with time? What skills do you try to own to look for that sense of improvement? Because that's what we always look for, whether it's in finances, whether it's in knowledge. But how do you tackle it?
One thing is that I let go of the myth that the day will come when now I know it.
Right.
Because the more I learn, the more I know I don't know anything. Right. And then the environment that we are in right now is so dynamic. Things are changing. Like now with AI and AGI coming in, like I don't even know what's going to happen to, I think the tech space is in crisis right now.
So what's AGI?
Artificial General Intelligence.
Okay.
So AGI is now the next iteration of AI. So the AI we have now can only give you, it can harness and analyze what already exists, right? Within the broad. So it's very, very useful. AGI will be much closer to how humans reason. So it will be much better at connecting the dots, seeing the patterns in complexity, and being able to come up with solutions. It's an idea, and there's currently a race to achieve AGI. And there are serious like structural constraints like data, like data space and infrastructure. So we need to solve that for even something like AGI. So there's a lot. I'm not a tech person. However, the point I was making is that we've got to let go of the myth that if I learn, if I do this, then now I'm set. Because the world that we live in is not like that. The world that we live in is changing so fast. And so the first thing is learning is continuous. Learning is continuous. Maintaining curiosity. I'm telling you, that is an edge that young people have that we lose as we get older to our detriment. Because young people are always like, they're in that learning mode because they are students. You know, they have that student heart. The minute you enter that space and that is now the space I'm in, that is a real double-edged sword where people are like, oh, you're expertise. Because within that is that thing of And when you start thinking psychologically, that curiosity and that openness of like, because in order to keep learning and growing, you have to embrace that actually I don't know. I don't know anything. So this is what I know today. And I know that, so that's what I do. It's like, this is what I know. What I know is valuable. And I also know that what I know is like 2%. And my drive is to increase what I do know so that I can be better in a context where I don't know. The second thing, data. We've been socialized that knowledge is got from books. You go to books. That is a myth. Data, if you start treating experiences and everything as spaces for knowledge and treating your interactions as data, data for knowledge, it's transformative, let me tell you. Because one of the things that I love is being in spaces with people who I don't get. Because they have a worldview. Human beings are rational. Remember I said no one wakes up in the morning and says my agenda today is to and fail. Everyone wants to. That is something every human being, whether you're a man, woman, white, black, green, all of us want to succeed. And so if you're doing something that I don't get, that curiosity to try and understand, because that is data. That is data that will increase my knowledge. It tells me something. The reason I don't get you is because I don't know.
100%.
I may not agree with you. And understanding where you're coming from doesn't require us to agree. But understanding in complexity means that there's a different perspective, and your perspective is just as valid as mine. In a world of complexity, it is not either or. That is so reductionist. It is yes and. This is true. This is also true. This is also true. 5 things can be true at the same time.
Right.
That is the reality of the world that we are in.
Right.
And so having that mindset where you're curious to understand and treat those things as data points, that is the mindset for growth and learning moving forward.
And what would you say were the biggest challenges you've come across, and how did you overcome them?
So many challenges. Which kind of, like, can we bucket them?
Okay, so let's say first, in your career. Let's start with your career, then we'll go into home.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. In career,
and feel free, sorry, to give case studies.
Yeah. In career, I'd say it's the unlearning. Unlearning, because in order to evolve into something new, you have to let go of what's there. You know, you can't, what do they say in Avatar? I love Avatar. So in Avatar, it said you can't fill a cup that is already full.
Right.
Yeah, you cannot, whatever. Anyway, Moat, that's what she said. And so in order for you to grow into your next self, I had to let go. And letting go is not as easy as it sounds. It requires, first of all, building an awareness of what I thought was true. It required owning, like understanding how it is landing and owning that, which was very painful. It required now stopping those behaviors and practicing new behaviors. And because they were new, they were deeply uncomfortable.
Right.
And honestly, the case studies, it's actually what I talk about in the book, Self-Sabotage.
Right.
Which was one of my leadership crucible moments. But honestly, I can say I would not be the woman and the leader that I am today if I had not gone through that.
Right.
But it was a crucible moment because it was not easy. And in a nutshell, what happened was I was with Amnesty International at the time.
Okay. And
Amnesty International was going through a global restructuring. It wasn't actually just, it was a major change program. And fundamentally, that thing, it was about power. Because Amnesty is an international organization. It's a movement. It's a movement of activists. But structurally, the secretariat had always been based in London. And the way the secretariat engaged with the membership was the secretariat owned the police. So in reality, the power sat with the secretariat. And so the restructure was going to diffuse power, decentralize power to the regions, so that it would be like, we cannot be campaigning for things. We need to stand in solidarity with activists. So like today with the Gen Z, the vision for Amnesty would be that Amnesty would be right there standing shoulder, bega kwa bega with Gen Z, pushing for a more inclusive economy, pushing for more space for dissent. You know, that was the vision. And so what I did was I was very functional. So I'm in the restructure. I'm not thinking about the broader ecosystem. So talk about political awareness. I'm focusing on the work. So it's like, we need to show that this thing will work. And yet it was such a politicized, and I'm not in that space. I'm focusing on work. I've hired people. I'm expecting them to hit the ground running. I am not realizing that Amnesty is such a complex environment. Guys, you need to enable people to succeed. I'm not doing any of that. So I'm lifting everyone. So what's happening is my direct reports, people are getting frustrated. I am dying because I'm doing all the work. It is invisible because no one can see. And then because of the politics around it, like when people are like, what is happening? What is happening in this regional office? Then it's like, what's happening? And so that journey, so learning from that, the key changes that I made over time, and actually what made me into the leader that I am today, was that's what really put me back, because I realized in my journey of learning from that experience was that I had drifted from my values.
Right.
Because my value has always been truth, justice, how power has to work for people.
Right.
And I realized, I had drifted from that. So I recentered myself back in my values and made that commitment that I am going to be a values-driven, people-centered leader.
Right.
And this is I set myself targets. This is very specifically how I will show up.
Right.
And this is the kind of leader I'm going to be, and this is how it's going to look like day to day. And here, this is how I'm going to know I am succeeding.
Right.
I am going to make sure that I don't just focus on delivering the results, but that I am effectively navigating. I am aware of the system I'm in, and I'm effectively navigating that, not just for myself, but for my team,
right.
so that we all can rise. And again, did all of that.
Amazing.
But I had to unlearn all that,
right.
to then become that system savvy, people centered, that's able to now shape systems,
right.
empower people, grow people, and achieve the results that I achieved today. It was not easy though.
Yeah, it's hard, especially when you've taken on so much control over something. Even I had to learn myself, okay, sometimes I need to get the best results. I need to delegate here, give somebody there.
Yeah.
I just let go of the reins kidogo.
Yeah. And allow, because how will people learn?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I think because women, I find it more with women than men, we tend to want the perfection.
Right.
And we are afraid of the failure.
Yeah.
And so we delegate, but we are still really controlling that outcome.
Right.
If you're going to grow people, you need to give, obviously you create the boundaries, right? Because you don't want failure that's going to tank the whole thing. But you need to create a safe space for people to fail.
Right.
Because people learn best through their mistakes.
100%.
So creating that space in delegation, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'd asked about challenges at home, but I want to redirect the question. And instead of saying that, and I think we can kind of culminate to this, how do you take care of you?
I will start by saying that I'm not going to say here that it is perfect all the time. But what I try to do is definitely my network really matters, my social network. And I have my core group of girlfriends who we've come from far. We've known each other since childhood. So we've come from very far and we've been with each other through thick and thin. And that core group of girlfriends are my lifeline. And we are very intentional about our friendship and creating space to nurture that friendship. So that's such an important part of my self-care. The second thing, which I'm really grateful to my husband for, because he really enables that, is it's so important that that number one, I being in a space where I don't feel like I am competing, or that I have to justify, or I have to, in the workspace, the standards, having to show up that way. So being in a space where I can be myself and not feeling that judgment is there. And my husband has been so effective at creating that for me. So I can just be myself with him. And it's not about, I can be vulnerable, I can be, and that goes such a long way. And then the other thing that really helps with taking care of me is having an ecosystem that shares the burden. So my husband, again, he has no problem. In a number of ways, some of our roles are reversed. So let's say this morning, because of the time of our podcast, it was clashing with a function that my daughter had. And so my husband was ready to no, of course I'll take her. I'll take her so that I can have time to come for this, and it's fine. So, and then even in the household, my housekeeper is actually my house manager, and I've empowered her, and she knows. So she does her things, so I don't need to worry about is there gas, is there what? And so having that ecosystem of people that can take up other aspects of the burden, so that you're not doing everything on your own. And then just simply knowing what it is that recharges my battery. So I am actually an introvert, so I do need I need me alone time to recharge.
Look at you, I can't even tell.
Yeah, I know. But like, I do need to just disconnect and recharge, which is why things like Vipassana are so appealing to me.
Right.
And whatever that will be, sometimes it's just sitting, watching TV. Sometimes it will be, I need to go and get a massage, a spa day, whatever. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my God, I've loved the conversation. Like we said, an hour goes by so fast.
Yeah.
As we finish up, what would be your parting shot, especially to that woman who's watching you and is saying that, because I've watched you, I know it's okay. Yeah. What would be your message to her?
You have more power than you know, because your agency, it's not something someone gives you. Your agency is within you. And so how you reclaim your power and how you take ownership of your agency, it's your mindset, your mindset shift. So like, for example, when we talked about money and what money does is money and what that represents for women in terms of financial freedom is that you can action the things that you care about. You can action your dreams. You may not have the financial freedom now, but if you take that mindset of, in the space that I'm in, whether it is through the merry-go-rounds that our mothers were in or whatever, start building so that you have more of that agency and more of that control so that you can do what it is that you care about. Do it. You know best what you need. And so don't wait for people to tell you what you need. Work, navigate, use society and what society expects from you as data, but you're not required to follow that script.
Absolutely.
It is your life. Make your own script. Be aware, but use that to be like, okay, this is how I'm going to navigate. But you're the only one who knows what's going to fulfill you. And so use that agency. Pole. If you feel that you're in a space where you don't feel safe to articulate it openly, at the minimum within yourself, just have your plan and you go for it. Pole.
Love it. So for those, because you do coaching, for those who'd like to reach out to you, where can they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I think that would be the easiest. Would be through LinkedIn. So you just look for Michelle Kagari. I'd love to hear from people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been an amazing, like literally, I had my notes. I just put my phone down from the first minute. I was like, let's talk. You made this so much easier to have.
Thank you.
It's been amazing having you, and all the best.
Thank you.
As you continue to grow and rediscover yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm always reinventing myself. I call it evolving. I'm a work in progress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the end of episode 2. I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as I am as you're watching it. Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you on the next episode. Are you looking for a comfortable stay in Westlands? Well, Bahari Palace Apartments is truly the place for you. These service apartments are perfect for business or leisure, for awesome restaurant and bar experiences, free Wi-Fi, housekeeping. Your standby generator is always on check, also CCTV and 24-hour security. Everything you need is all in one place. All you need to do is call 0717-551-305 or email faharipalaceapartments.com or accounts@faharipalaceapartments.com. If you want the perfect place to stay, book today.